Hi everybody, it's Barb Kapla, and this is Barb's Paper Pizzazz. I'm bringing you a card tonight that you can do at home. The card looks something like this. It's a birthday card, and it's a very simple kind of card to be able to make. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this in the video tutorial that I'm about to begin. So I hope you can join me for the next half hour or so, and we'll make this card together, okay? I'm going to switch cameras now, so just hold on a minute, okay? Hey, we're ready to begin. So this is the card that we're going to be making tonight, and it is a card made out of the cardstock that's called Flirty Flamingo. Next is a layer of Pear Pizzazz. On top of that is a third layer of Whisper White, and we're going to add a couple of additional pieces of layers to kind of brighten things up and make the card face really pretty. So I'm not going to get into how it looks. We're just going to make it happen. So let's do that. First, we're going to take and score the card base. The card base is an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock, and so it's 8.5 long by 5.5 wide, and we're going to score this at 4.25. So I brought my scoring tool over, and we're going to score this, and that is going to give us a crisp fold on which we can begin our beautiful card. So we're going to fold this, and we're going to additionally crease it with a bone folder. There you go. So we're on our way. All right, the next piece that we're going to add is a liner. And this liner again is Pear Pizzazz. This liner measures 4.25 by 4 by 5.25. Okay, 4 across the top by 5.25 down, and we're going to add that with glue tape. And if you don't have this particular stamp set, you can use any floral stamp set with dies that match and make it your own, okay? The stamp set that we're using today is from Stampin' Up's Art Gallery, and it has beautiful, large flowers accented by a deeper color or another color, a smaller flower, a leaf set, and a bouquet. So we're going to be using pretty much most of these, as well as best wishes and the happy birthday greetings. Okay, so back to the card. We're going to add the liner. The liner is white cardstock. This is 3 3/4 across by 5 down. 3 3/4 by 5, and we're going to add that to the card that we've already got going. And we're going to place that so that it's pretty square to the previous layer, and the border shows evenly all the way around. Okay, so now let's add the details. This card has details of designer series paper, which is essentially a printed aspect of paper, and it has the colors of Flirty Flamingo and black in it in a stripe. So we're going to add that. This particular piece of cardstock I've cut to 1 inch in depth by 3 3/4 inches long. And I took it a little differently this time. I did the stripes going horizontally rather than vertically. So we're just going to go ahead, it doesn't really matter unless you really wanted it the other way, to recut another piece of paper. We can do that, but we're going to just add this just for telling purposes here. This is all a tutorial for you. And this is another piece of cardstock that we're going to add on top of this. This cardstock measures 2.5 by 3 3/4. So 2.5 width by 3 3/4 length. And we're going to put that kind of right here. I'm going to actually take it up a little bit so that the black is the dividing line between the two, so it can be seen a little more sharply. Okay, we're going to add this. To the card base. And cover up some of that white. Okay, so now that was the easy part. Now we're going to have to start working. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add this lacy piece of cardstock that is in Pear Pizzazz. And this comes from a card die set, and I can't remember the name of it because I forgot my paper. It's on the other end of the table. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and I'll show you how I cut this. This is the Stampin' Up! Cutting and embossing device, and we're going to put this on here, and we're going to add the shim, and we're going to add the cutting plate on top, and we're going to move this through, and you're going to see that it's going to be cut as the die. And I'm going to run it through a couple times just to make sure that we get it, because this is a pretty intricate die and it has many tiny holes, and so we're going to make sure that we cut through all that. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. And there's the result, and so pretty. So let's get this off of here. How are we going to do that? Let me see if I can get a die here and lift it off. I can't pick up anything here. There we go. All right. So these little things make it just so lacy and pretty. It's just gorgeous. So we're going to take all the little pieces out of here. And before we put them on the card, hopefully they'll be gone after I play with them here. All right, so that's done. Let me get rid of these little dots that are left, and we're going to do some stamping now and cutting to make the flowers. Okay, so let's take another white piece of cardstock, and we're going to stamp on here one large flower, one smaller flower, 2 leaf sets, and the best wishes greeting. Okay, so we're going to use this, and let me get the piece of paper that I need to tell you. The designer series paper that we used, which is this striped piece, is from the Flower and Field designer series paper, and I said it's 1 by 3 3/4. The ink that we're using today is Fleur de Flamingo, and we're also using Pear Pizzazz. We're also using dies from the Floral Gallery, and the Floral Gallery dies match the Art Gallery stamp set, so we're going to be using those. And this particular lacy piece is comes from the die set All Things Fabulous. So if you have any of those, you can make this card right now. All right, so let's get to stamping, because that's kind of on the fun side. And we're going to open up the Fleur de Flamingo ink, and I'm going to stamp it with the larger flower image. Now, because it's a 2-step stamp, meaning that you're going to put generally the color of the flower in there, but then there are accent colors that are added to it with the second stamp. We're going to stamp the first one using a technique called stamping off. So what we're going to do is load the stamp with ink. We're going to stamp off once, and we're going to stamp off again. And we're going to make the third one the flower. Okay, and then we're going to do the same For the smaller flower, which is this flower here, we're going to stamp off once and twice and one more time. There we go. Now we're going to add the accent colors, and this is going to be the same color, but we're just going to use full ink. We're not going to stamp off at all. So we're going to try to line this up so that it hits in the right spots on the first flower. And we'll do the same thing again for the smaller flower, which is right here. Okay, so we've got the flowers are done. Now we're going to do the leaf sets. Let me move these two stamps out of the way. And we'll keep them over here because we're going to need them for the inside of the card. So let's do here's the leaf. Let's bring in Para Pizzazz ink. And we're going to stamp this in full color. And we're going to need two sets because we're going to put one underneath the small flower and the second one underneath the large. So we're going to use two of them. These are all cut out separately with the specific dies that they fit. So we can just stamp them anywhere. And then the only other thing that we have left to stamp is the greeting, which is best wishes. We're going to do that again in the Flirty Flamingo ink. And we're going to do that down here. And we're done. Okay, so now let's pull all this stuff back. And we're going to bring in the cutter again so that we can cut out all of these images. All right, and then we'll add them to the card. So let me get these off. We're going to add that to the base. We'll bring in the cutting machine again. Good night. Okay. Here's the cutting machine. And we're going to put the base on and the cutting thing. And we're going to add the images that we need cut. Okay, so we're going to add the die cuts. This die cut is for the big flower right here. And we're going to have to try to line that up as best you can. That looks good. And then we're going to do the small one over here. And then we're going to do two of the leaf sets, but we can only do one at a time. So let's line that one up. And then we're going to do the best wishes, and this is all part of the same die cut set, and this one is a little tiny square that has inside scallops, and I think it's just so cute. Okay, so let's cut this out. And hopefully this will all turn out okay. So here we go. I'll just bring it back through so you can see, and hopefully that will ensure that they've all cut well. All right, so here's the die cuts. Here's the small flower and the larger flower and a leaf set, as well as best wishes. Okay, so we've got one more to cut, and that's a second leaf set, and we are going to cut that now by lining it up again, just as we did the last time. And these line up pretty easily. They're not too hard to figure out where the die cut should go position-wise. And we're going to put the top and the cutting mat on. And we're going to cut this one out as well. Okay. And that's all there is to it. And there's the leaf set. So we've got all of our elements, and so now we can proceed to put the card together. Let me move my machine out of the way. And we will start putting the card set together. All right, so let's bring the card back up here. Now we need to add these flowers and leaves. And so we're going to kind of put them on. The sample that I had has the leaf set going kind of toward the middle more. So we're going to add the leaf and position it kind of like that. And in order for me to add these, we're going to need dimensionals. Dimensionals are foam dots that have glue on both sides, and they put the paper that they're glued to up on the next step so that it rises, that piece of paper rises above the paper bases that you're adding it to, and it gives it dimension. Woohoo! So there's the card, and then we're going to add dimensionals to the leaves, and I'm just going to put one on each. And we're going to take, whoa, down on the floor. Okay, we're going to take the liners off, and we're going to add this to the flower. Here we go. Okay, we did good. All right, so let's add the little flower, and this one I'm going to turn on the side here. I'm going to bring it this way so that it glues on like this. All right, so let's put the leaf set on first, and we're going to add dimensionals to that again. And then we'll add the flower. And it's fine that they cross over. And we're going to put dimensionals on here as well. Okay. So it's almost done. This card face, it was pretty easy to put together. And isn't that gorgeous? All right, all we have to do is add best wishes down here, and that's going to go on dimensionals as well. But these are little tiny ones. Stampin' Up! Has thought of everything, and we used to have to cut the larger ones, but now we have these little ones, and it makes it so much more convenient. When you just need to cover a narrow space that you want to pop up off the paper surface. And so we're going to add this right here, and this card face is done. So okay, let's proceed to the inside. We're going to put the liner again, just as we did on the front. We're going to put the Pear Pizzazz liner. This liner is the same size as the front. This is 4 inches across by 5 1/4 inches down. And we're going to add it only because I like the layered look. I think it adds to the colorfulness of the card. It adds some weight to the card, which might be problematic for postage, but certainly it does give you a substantial feeling card. And now we're going to stamp again the inside. Oh, I forgot to put the other. Oh, jeez. We forgot this piece. Uh-oh. Well, let's see if I can do, let me see if I can get this on. How did I forget that? Doggone it. Well, I'm not going to tear apart the card just to put that on there, but it's supposed to go under. You know what it's supposed to look like, okay? Oh my goodness. So let's stamp these flowers again, and we're going to stamp them just like we did before, but we're going to stamp them with the stamp off technique. We want the inside to be very pale, like so, so that the greeting stands out, okay? So I think if we do the same thing as we did for the card, by stamping it twice and then stamping it on the card surface, the cardstock surface, once, I think we'll hit the mark. So here's once, here's twice, and here's the third time. Okay, and now let's do the smaller flower. Here's once, here's twice, and there's the second flower. Okay, now we're going to add the leaf set, and we're going to do the same thing, stamping off. Stamp off once, stamp off twice. Ooh, I think it's going to be too light. Let's just do twice. Okay, now for this one, I want to cover one leaf as we stamp it, because it's going to cross over, and I think it'll look better if it's stamped without that leaf, but with the stem and the other leaf on the other side. So I'm covering up or masking that one leaf so that that leaf is stamped on opposite cardstock, but I still have the stem and the other leaf where I want it. And I think that's it. Okay, so that's the inside of the card. We're going to add the last greeting, which is, of course, happy birthday, and that's done in the Flirty Flamingo, and that's going to go right there. And certainly you can add the two, who it goes to, and your signature and all of that. And so let's just put this on the inside of the card. And this card is done. The Designer Series paper that we use today is an option that is free to you if you purchase any products from the Stampin' Up! Catalog that are $50 or more outside of shipping and handling and tax. Okay, so you can get that 12 pieces of Designer Series paper for free. Double-sided, beautiful patterns. You can get that for free. So here's here's the card that we started with, and here's the card that we wound up with. Despite the fact that we forgot to add this to it, I think you get the idea that they both are pretty cards, and certainly you can make these beautiful cards at home and enjoy relaxing a little bit and making some beautiful things that people will appreciate and that you can relax with. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again when I put another video together. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.